This is music, and this is In Search of Sanity by Onslaught. So, In Search of Sanity by Onslaught, a thrash metal album. It's originally from 1989. The version I have is the 2017 Back on Black reissue. And this is, of course, kind of a controversial album because this is where a lot of old school Onslaught fans kind of got off the Onslaught train because Onslaught took their music in a more melodic and maybe more mainstream, more accessible, maybe more polished direction. Now, I honestly don't remember exactly where I picked this one up because it was part of one of 3 or 4 relatively big hauls I sort of picked up earlier this year. Simply because, with the COVID and the lockdowns and all that stuff, I figured why not just sit around and listen to some music I like. Now, I never owned this one before, but I borrowed it. I remember back in the day, I borrowed it from a friend a couple of times, and I probably had it. Yeah, you know what? I think I had it on cassette tape, recorded from the version I borrowed from one of my friends. And I lost it a long time ago, but I remember liking it. And there was one reason why I got interested in this release to begin with, and that's I'm a massive AC/DC fan. They're my second favorite band in the whole world, and of course there's this controversial cover version of Let There Be Rock on this album, which is what got me interested in it back then. And to be honest, that's also why I picked it up this time, because oh yeah, that's the one with the AC/DC cover. Also, I was in a thrash metal band back in the day, in the early 90s. So obviously I like thrash metal very much. There were many thrash metal bands back then, but a lot of them were transitioning into groove metal. And we did the same thing in our thrash metal band back then. We started incorporating groove metal elements into our songs. But there's a lot of thrash metal out back then still that didn't go in a groove metal direction, but which I just didn't get around to really exploring. Onslaught, one of them, although I had it on cassette, I never really explored that band, and I didn't really explore this release that much either, other than listening to the Let There Be Rock album. Anyways, so In Search of Sanity, Onslaught, originally from 1989. As I said, this is the Back on Black version. So a lot of their reissues come in gatefolds. So, so these sort of front and back look like this, right? So the back here. And I guess one of these sort of issues that a lot of people had with this album is this guy here, right? Steve Grimmett on vocals, who has a more melodic, more hard rock, at least traditional metal singing style. I like his singing style, to be perfectly honest. So it's a double album on two LPs, and there are 9 tracks on this one. So they're of course not short tracks. The inner part, the actual gatefold, so you have the collage, a bit of a collage-like graphic. You have some lyrics, pretty cool stuff. And it just came with these, like, hey, how are you doing? With these old school paper inner sleeves, which I'm always afraid that they will break or damage the vinyls, so I always move them into some polylined inner sleeves instead. It's 180 grams vinyl, and the version I have is this one on clear vinyl. It has on the sort of center label here the artwork, and here it has a track list. So, and it sounds pretty good, I think. I like colored vinyl. I also like black vinyl, but I don't mind. Of course, this is just transparent, clear vinyl, so no color or anything, but it sounds very good. So, so as I said, a controversial album. Not a lot of people sort of left the Onslaught camp or whatever, lost interest in Onslaught because of this album. It opens, I mean, and it is, they do some pretty, I would say, kind of like brave things here. It opens out with a strange, dark, atmospheric synth piece, and it's actually pretty long. It has like a horror movie vibe to it. And I think a lot of people, when they just heard that as the first track, they might have gone, what the hell is going on here, right? I like it. I like the horror vibe, and I also like the darkness, and it kind of fits this theme of madness, right? And it's called Asylum, so there you go. I like it. It's brave of them, it's strange, it's dark, but I think it's good. I actually enjoy listening to that opening track. The next one is the title track, In Search of Sanity. I would say it's kind of a power thrash affair. I get an Anthrax vibe from it, but that could be just the fact that they have a more melodic singer, like Anthrax do, sort of singing to thrash metal, so that might be it. It has a very, very cool melodic chorus, and there's some great lead guitar work on this song, and which characterizes the entire album. There's some great guitar work on it. What I really like is that there are a lot of melodic solos, so it's not all just blistering shredding, but melodic solos, twin guitar harmony, leads, melodies, which I love. I always love twin guitar harmony sections, right? Because it was Iron Maiden that got me into metal, and they use that all the time, so obviously that sort of stuck with me, yeah. So, In Search of Sanity, a great power thrash song, I think. It's followed by Shell Shock, and that's already on side B, so you have to flip the record, right? So Shell Shock, it's a mid-tempo thrasher. Nothing wrong with it. There's some awesome riffage, I think, in it, and I find that very often with mid-tempo thrashers. That's very often where you get the cool riffage because they slow down a bit, right? So Shell Shock, great song as well. Then there is Lightning War. That's more of an up-tempo thrasher, and here I get like a vibe that kind of reminds me a bit of Testament and a bit of Master of Puppet era Metallica. So this is just what I sort of thought of what I think of when I listen to this song. And there's a very, very good, I would say great instrumental breakdown here in the bridge. And again, you have more harmony lead guitars. So I would say Lightning War, a great thrash metal song, in my opinion. Like a thrash metal should have been a classic, but that's just my opinion. And then side C here, and here it is, the Marmite on this album. I like Marmite, by the way. So Marmite is, those of you who don't know it, it's a type of yeast extract-based spread that is very common in the UK. Australia also has it, but they have another version also called Vegemite. And it's in British culture, Marmite has sort of attained the status of something you either hate or either love. There's no middle ground. Of course, in reality there is, because I like it, but I don't love it. I don't hate it. I enjoy it. And Let There Be Rock seems to be a song that people either hate or love. And to be honest, I've heard more people hate on it than show it some love. So I'm gonna show it some love because I really like their version of it. It's a power thrash metal version of Let There Be Rock. It's fairly faithful to the original, I would say, but it still manages to inject a lot of the elements that characterize the Onslaught style on this album. Okay, so a lot of power thrash elements, faithful to the original, but there's some Onslaught identity, at least from this album, in that version as well. So they sprinkle in some Onslaught elements, and that way I think it's a great way to show respect to a great song already. It's not as good as the original. I think it's not a case with the cover version is better than the original, but I would say it's a pretty damn good cover. It does what I like in a cover version. Again, faithful-ish to the original, but also the band's own interpretation with their own elements in it. So I like it. Let There Be Rock. I like it. I'm on the thumbs up side of things, yeah. This is followed by a song called Blood Upon the Ice. And this is more of a mid-tempo, mid-paced thrash metal affair again. And again, great riffage. This is more like chugging along riffage, right? Which always works great if you have like a wall of guitars sound, which they actually do in this album. It's one of the things I like is the way that the guitars sound. It's another song that has a bit of an Anthrax vibe to it, and again, it might just be because they use a more melodic vocalist rather than somebody who barks or yells or shouts. And it's got some great guitar solos, some great dual, again, twin harmony guitar melodies in the bridge. And the bridge, I would say, is awesome on its own. It's almost like a musical journey. And I think when you have like an album like this, right, double album, double LP, 9 songs, pretty long, I appreciate a bridge that takes you on a musical journey, right? So a great, or I guess horns, thumbs up, whatever. Great song, Blood Upon the Ice. Welcome to Dying is a power ballad. Okay, so I kind of get the feel that this is their attempt at making a Fade to Black kind of song. It sort of has the same sort of melancholic, sad feel to it. And you know what? I think it's decent. It's good actually. I like it. It's not Fade to Black, but it's their version, and it's pretty good, I think. The chorus is catchy, and you've got more twin lead guitars, so already that's a win in my book. There's a bit of a bass solo in this, which works, and it's a good power ballad. I mean, I'm not a big fan of ballads. I hate the late 80s, early 90s sort of glam, sleaze, hair metal ballads that went way over the top, way too cheesy for me. But this is the type of ballad that I actually enjoy. So a good power ballad, Welcome to Dying. This is followed by Power Play, which is an aggressive thrash metal song, up-tempo. Has to be with that title, right? There's a great bridge that has a cool guitar solo. Great variation in the song as well, and some cool twin guitar leads again. So great song. Okay, so as you can see so far, in my opinion, no weak songs. Asylum, the opening, yes, a bit strange, but I like it personally. And the last track is Confused, and I don't remember if this was on the original, because as I said earlier, I borrowed the original from a friend and copied it to a cassette tape, and I pretty much only listened to Let There Be Rock anyway, so I don't remember if Confused is on it, but it's an Angel Witch cover version, and it's a nice, cool little hard rock song. Kind of a fun way to close off this album. So, as I said, I think this is a great album. In my opinion, this is a thrash metal classic. As I said, I know a lot of people don't like it. I enjoy it a lot. I think it should be a thrash metal classic. It's more in the Anthrax camp. There's some great riffage on this album, and an audible bass. Remember, late 80s thrash metal, we always have to comment on the bass, and it is audible. And what I really like about this album is that it combines aggression and melody. And part of this, the melody part of this balance, that's because of, again, in my opinion, because of this guy, Steve Grimmett. Great contribution, I think, with his vocals. I don't care what anybody says. It's fine, their opinion. They don't like him. That's fine. I really like his vocal style and his contributions to this album. He's an integral part to the sort of melody aggression balance. The guitars have like a brick wall sound to them, like they really punch you in the face. So that makes the already great riffage sound even better. And as I said, Steve Grimmett, awesome vocalist in my opinion. Right? To be honest, it's one of my favorite parts of this album, along with the brick wall guitar sound and the twin guitar leads. There is an 80s Anthrax, 80s Testament, and Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning era Metallica kind of feel to this album. So overall, I think this is a great album. A lot of people hate on it because they did change their style a bit. I don't hate on it. I like this. I enjoy it. As I said, this should, in my opinion, be a classic within the world of thrash metal. So I'm sure a lot of you disagree with me on this one, but that's fine. You know, each to their own. I love this album. So I hope you enjoyed me talking a bit about In Search of Sanity by Onslaught. I like it. End of story. And thanks for watching.